What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So, okay, here's the thing. I am going to be back on Unbound because I've been thinking about something with this game a bit. We all do know we did end up having the Volume 9 update, the issues that came with it. We all do know all the problems players are facing with it, but you know what I was thinking about, though? Will they end up leaving Need for Speed Unbound in the current state that it's going to be in with the issues and the bugs that it is facing? Now, don't get me wrong, guys. For all we do know, we could probably end up getting a patch hopefully soon that might end up fixing these issues. That is probably going to be me most likely being kind of hopeful. Maybe some of it might be a bit of copium, like, yeah, we're going to be over a month since they actually said anything about the game or pretty much anything on it, and we all do know a lot of players are still facing issues on the game itself. Funny part is, I was also getting comments of people going, yo, I'm playing the game just fine, I'm getting my vehicles and stuff, haven't had any crashes, the game's been working great. Like, yeah, we're going to have issues getting the blacklist cars because the RNG on them seems to be kind of awful, but at least you can still end up taking the cars and maybe end up selling them or even at least getting the money for them, which I do know a lot of players, including myself, cannot seem to even keep the vehicles they are taking or getting any money from them. The reason why this kind of bothers me, though, is a lot of new players might want to play this new game mode, and they're most likely going to want to get the entire collection upgrade. I mean, that is going to be, what, $15 if you own the game. It is most likely always going to go on sale if you don't own the game, so you can get it probably around $20 or so with that and the entire collection thing in there. You will most likely end up having a great experience, I would say, for a majority of players that do end up getting it if they are going to be new. The reason why I do say that is it does seem if players already had different volumes and stuff, then if you do end up buying the collection upgrade, then you might end up facing some problems with it. At least a lot of players have said it. I have noticed it. A lot of people have commented it. The only thing that kind of bothers me a bit with this, though, is if they do know about the issues, what they have to know about it, or at least at this point, I would probably say it's impossible for them to not know about the problems. I mean, everybody has been voicing it, and I do know for a fact right now if they had some type of post on X, then yeah, everybody would be like, yo, hello. A lot of players are having issues. Can you guys fix lockdown and stuff? But nope, we haven't had a single post in legitimately almost a month, man. I did end up having a video about like the entire communication thing, how it's basically been gone ever since the update did end up coming out. Kind of unfortunate. That was also something I was thinking about, though, is I really hope they don't end up abandoning the game in the state that it's in right now, because it kind of is looking that way. Don't get me wrong, though, guys, I do feel like they will most likely have a patch, at least hopefully they will, and the reason why I do end up saying this, though, is I feel like they are most likely going to be aware that there is going to be problems, and they are going to have at least one more patch to fix lockdown if they are leaving Unbound forever. That way, at least the game's going to run, players can actually, get on the game and enjoy it, instead of getting on and hoping it's going to work and you're going to be able to keep the cars and stuff. That is probably going to be a big gamble players are not going to want to mess with. I mean, heck, I'm probably going to guess right now and say many players that do end up liking Unbound probably most likely really enjoyed Lockdown. I'm one of them. I think the game mode is dope. Probably one of the coolest game modes we've seen in a racing game, am I right? The only thing is, though, is it does have to work for people to enjoy it. Like, I'm gonna be real here, guys. I have been playing Unbound here and there, doing playlists, playing a bit of multiplayer, even jumping into single player here and there as well. The thing is, though, I have not been playing Lockdown that often because, well, every time I seem to jump into it, I do take a dope car, whether it's like a P1, a Regera, like even any of the regular Blacklist vehicles. I'm not only not keeping them, but I'm also not getting the money for them. So I'm like, okay, well, I do enjoy the game mode, but if I'm not getting anything out of it, then what am I going to really be doing on this game mode the entire time if I'm playing it, and I'm really not getting any of the things I am going after? Like, yeah, it's going to be fun taking the vehicles and stealing them. You can grab the money around the map and stuff, which I have noticed the money that you do end up having, like, let's say you leave with like 150k or something, and you do end up taking something like a Lambo. You're most likely not going to keep the Lamborghini or the money from the Lamborghini, but you are at least going to get the 150 grand you do end up taking. So if you are looking to make a lot of money, you could probably like end up grabbing the bike and extracting it. That you are most likely going to end up keeping. You don't get to keep it forever, but you will have it. You can then jump into another lockdown mode, guys, ride the bike, and the funny part is you could basically ride around the entire map, grab all the money everywhere. Then you could basically end up leaving if you do want to. That could be another strategy if you are looking to make money. That way you can buy other vehicles and stuff. But the thing is, players might end up wanting to take cars like I did end up doing, whether that's going to be for taking the vehicle, most likely wanting to sell it or something, or even getting the money from it if you already have one, which I would say does make a lot of sense again if it is duplicated, or you're most likely stealing that car because you did end up wanting that thing, whether it's like a blacklist vehicle. Some of the blacklist cars are honestly really dope, but if you take one, you don't keep it. That is probably going to frustrate everybody because trying to get some of the cars, guys, is honestly pretty dang annoying. Like, the RNG on those are terrible. And if you finally end up getting that GTR or like that Mercedes you have been looking for, you take it. What if it's not in your garage? I feel like anybody would get ticked off at that point. As I did mention before, though, I do feel like this is not really affecting every single player, because I have been getting some comments of players saying they're not having any problems, like, yeah, they bought the collection upgrade, they're playing the game, maybe it's because they're new to it, and they don't have the other volumes that are in the game itself, maybe that's why it's doing it, who knows. Then on top of that, I feel like they really do need to end up fixing the single player to multiplayer thing. The reason why I do say that is someone was saying that if you own that vehicle in single player, it apparently is not going to show up in multiplayer when you do end up taking it. Does that make any sense, man? I mean, both of them are separated for a reason, bro. Am I right? I mean, you play single player, you get those vehicles. You play multiplayer, you get that stuff. If you do end up having that said car, like a P1 GTR, for example, on single player, you go on multiplayer, you do a lockdown game mode, you take one, which, by the way, I've also lost 2 of those, no money or the car itself, which is pretty frustrating. Really do like that car a lot. I do have one, but I did end up taking a second and a third one, but did not keep either one of them, man. I also did not get the $2 million if you were to sell one of those, which is unfortunate, or like the 1.5 million, whatever it is, if you sell one. The thing is, though, if players are jumping in, they're stealing cars, they have it on single player. Why do you have to delete the car on single player when multiplayer is separated for a reason? Does that make any sense? Like, seriously, does that make any sense? Not really. But you know what, though? I am going to call this right now and say I would like to end up being on the more positive side that, yes, a patch is coming for it. There is no way, guys, they're going to abandon Need for Speed in the state that it's in, right? I mean, right? They can't do that, would they? I mean, they can do that, but the thing is, should they? Probably not. They all have to know by now the game is broken. There's issues. Like, fix it, put out one more patch, get everything working, then abandon the game at that point. That would make sense. And I did end up seeing a comment saying the last update we had for Volume 9 isn't going to be the last one, which I'm also really hoping that is the case. And you know what, though? That really does make me think about another question. Would they really have all these updates added into Unbound for them to basically abandon the entire game in the state that it is in? Really does not make any sense. So I am going to call this right now and say we will most likely end up getting at least one more patch that will fix Unbound, and then boom, the game is most likely going to be done after that. Who knows, I'm probably going to be a bit insane here, but maybe they might end up having more volumes in this year, but with the new Battlefield game coming, I don't really see that happening. Is it possible? Maybe, but probably not. Do let me know what y'all think about this in the comments below. Do you guys actually think they will end up most likely abandoning this game in the current state? And also, though, let me know another game in the comments below, whether it's a Need for Speed game, can be anything else that was basically left in a state like this that was never fully patched for the issues it did end up having kind of toward the end of life of that said game, or issues it pretty much faced and they were like, okay, well, we're done updating that because we're working on the next one.